I'm Richard Randall, and welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the show. I sit in with her, but she is your real estate voice. And this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate. And it does it with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, with many buyers facing competing offers when they buy homes, what are the top 8 things that sellers love to get from buyers in offers? Plus, we'll be talking about your hot new listings in a little bit.
Well, Richard, I would say most of the time when I talk with sellers, I'll ask them what's most important to them. And they usually say price, price, price. And they typically want to move when they want to move. They'd like the whole process to go with the least amount of hassle. And, the question is, when you are negotiating the deal, are you dealing with a messenger? Are you dealing with a negotiator? Those are two different things. I had one property recently where we kind of got all 3 offers at the same time, and I was trying to get the highest offer. And what I didn't know until the offers came in was the 2 of them had a house to sell. They turned out to be bad offers. The third one kind of got scared away of the competition. So I started talking to the third one, and we ended up putting it together. So it almost fell apart over the competition, which was weak. And so I had to reveal a little bit, enough information to get them back in the game again. And we have that home under contract and everybody is happy. But you really want somebody that has your back and works towards your goals. Like that example I gave earlier about this inspector wanted to do a water flow test on a well. Well, what does that mean? They could have run the well dry. It said they wanted to run up 350 gallons. That sounds like a lot of water. It could empty the reservoir. It could suck sand up into the pump and cause the pump to cavitate. It could mess up the plumbing. So the answer was no, you're just Joe Billy Bob inspector. You're not qualified to do this. And, if you want to do it, you bring in professionals that work in the industry that know how to take care of that system. And they don't necessarily have to run the water for 4 hours to see if the well works. They've already done that when they installed the well. They can actually digitally check out the well pump, and they can do other things and just run it for a much shorter period of time and get a good assessment on the healthiness of a well without doing this crazy stuff. So you want somebody that's really looking out for those kind of things every single step of the way. So if you're interested in talking to us about selling your home, that is one of our specialties. My name is Barb Schlinker with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team. And you know what? I love helping people. I love talking to people. And if we're a good fit, it's great. If you're thinking of making a move in the next 2 to 6 months, you can just give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com, and we'd love to chat with you. So here's some other things that sellers really love to get from buyers. If the buyer is getting a loan, they'd love to see that they're waiving the appraisal. So some agents may not know that if the buyer's getting a VA loan and the buyer happens to be putting a down payment, the house only has to appraise at the loan amount, not the sales price. It still gives them an option to terminate over that, but it only has to appraise at the loan amount. So to me, it's a much better loan if that's the case. And then I was talking to a client recently when I was presenting their offers. And one of the things he said was, wow, there's all these ways for buyers to get out of the contract. Seems like we're just wrestling on the floor until the very end. And then for sure that you're going to closing. And most people don't like that. Once they accept a contract and take their house off the market, they need to move, right? That's a huge project. There's a lot of planning that goes in that. So they have to go, okay, I have to get rid of the stuff I'm not going to take with me. I've got to do this and that. I got to pack. The house is not going to look show ready anymore. And what? The buyer wants to get out over inspection, or they want to get out over appraisal. They're just not liking all that uncertainty. And he used a phrase for it that I thought was really funny. I'd never heard before. He goes, it just seems like they're wrestling on the floor until the very end, and then it's finally done. And goes, I don't like it. So he actually did not take the highest offer because of that. He took the cash buyer. And some agents, just to get a contract, will put in their contract that, oh, they're only going to ask for health and safety things, but it's not, it's very subjective. It's not specific and clear. And at the end of the day, even though the contract says the home is sold as is, where is, with all its faults, they're still going to do an inspection and they're still going to ask for stuff. It doesn't mean that the seller has to agree to it. It just means that, the deal is not certain until we get past that one big hurdle. So if there is somebody that says they're going to waive any inspection objection, that's great. And let's see it very often. And then they also love to get from buyers to close and give possession on their schedule. Now, with some home sellers, they're already going to move out. It's not a problem as far as when they give possession. However, some people have a very big household that they need to move. And so it involves a lot of planning, a lot of execution in order to plan on what you're going to take with you. Plan on the stuff that you're not going to take with you, maybe sell it. There's all kinds of stuff going on in the background, and it's quite a big project. So if they can get some support and maintain possession for even just a few days after closing, it makes the experience a lot less stressful on the seller. And so we offer solutions all the time for things like that. I've had people negotiate as much as 6 weeks to stay in the home after closing and rent it back from the buyer because the buyer didn't need to take possession right away. Now, some contract contingencies for sale contingencies are okay. It kind of depends on the market and the environment, depends on the seller's timing and their need on how soon they need to close. It also depends on how sellable the home that they're selling is. Like if they say, oh, don't worry, we're going to price it right when we put it on the market. Then they put it on the market and it's overpriced and it sits on the market and it doesn't sell. Well, they trusted you, but now we have to indicate in the MLS, unless we put in the contract otherwise, that the seller accepted a contingency. And the problem is that other buyers that might be interested in that home think that the home is not available. So that ties up the home. So really good communication, really good contract execution can solve this problem if that's the only offer that they have in hand. Another thing sellers really love to get from buyers is the buyer's solid financial ability. To perform. Now, a huge down payment is not necessarily absolutely required. Let me give you an example. If the buyer is getting a VA loan and they've served our country, they are eligible for VA financing, which is 100% financing all the way up to $2 million. It's actually an easier loan to get sometimes than conventional, but it has to appraise and the house has to meet the loan guidelines. So you need an experienced agent to know whether or not it would meet those two criteria. But if they have down payment, they could say that, hey, we're not going to object over an appraisal if there is any issue with that. Those are the kind of things that actually give the home seller a warm fuzzy to know that it's moving forward. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the host of Your Real Estate Voice, and I'm the broker and owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team, and we're talking about the things that sellers really love to get from buyers' offers. And we're also going to talk about some things that you should watch out for to ensure that you win before you accept a contract on your house. Because in the state of Colorado, when a seller accepts a contract on their house, the seller is committed. The buyer has at least 8 or 10 weasel clauses where they can get out of the deal and get their earnest money back, no harm, no foul. Not so much for the seller. They have to tie up their property and wait for the process to play out. So it's a different situation. So if you are thinking of making a move and you'd like to discuss the sale with us, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
I love the term, Barb, weasel clauses to get out of the contract. We're talking with Barb Schlinker. She is your real estate voice. We're discussing the top things that sellers love to get from buyers' offers. So, Barb, what are some other things that give sellers that confidence to accept an offer?
Well, one for sure is that ability to perform. They want to know if they're really pre-approved. They want to make sure that it's factual, that whether or not they have a house to sell. Did the agent ask? That kind of thing. They also want to know from the buyer that they love the home. You have to expect this day and age that almost every property is going to have video cameras somewhere around it, right? But still, you see these agents go in there and stand out front in front of the Ring doorbell and talk smack about the house. It's not very smart. And what happens sometimes is the buyers or the agent will pick apart the house in hopes of maybe getting a discount for the buyer, but the buyer really loves the home. So if they've seen that behavior on video, then they come make an offer. It's going to put in doubt with the seller whether or not this thing's really going to go through. So be super careful. And then really sellers want to know it's going to go through because they hate it if the home has to go back on the market. There are some agents that threaten to terminate every step of the way, makes the whole process miserable. But if you have a good relationship between the two agents and the buyers and it goes smoothly, it's a lot more fun to do real estate that way. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com.
Barb, it is time for the lightning round of some of your hot new listings. Tell us about them. They're really exciting this week.
I have a couple of great ranchers, one on Escalante Court, priced in the upper threes and right next to the Pueblo Reservoir in a great neighborhood, an adorable home in Pleasant Valley on Pleasant Street. This thing's in pristine condition with emerald green grass, beautiful home with views on Westmoreland and the low fives, a gorgeous home on 2 acres down by the backside of Fort Carson and Rock Creek Mesa, a fabulous home on Dodge in the mid 6s on Peyton on 5 acres, another fabulous home on Warriors Path on 40 acres. And then I also have a beautiful rancher that has the most gorgeous updated kitchen and master bath I have ever seen on Winding Oaks, just over $1 million. And then, of course, a spectacular home nestled in 35 beautiful treed acres in Mohawk Heights. Just unbelievable home that's almost off the grid, 2.5 million, over engineered, and is just gorgeous. Totally organic materials and recycled materials inside. It's amazing. And if you'd like to see that one, give us a call at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice. It airs every Saturday. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. And remember, you can see replays of the show on Barb's YouTube channel, Barb Schlinker, or just go to barbhasthebuyers.com. You can find links over to the podcast. Barb is on all of the popular podcast platforms. Just search for Barb Schlinker. Thank you for listening this week. Have a great weekend. Reach out to Barb by calling 719-301-3900. Barb, you have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you. You as well.